I'll be honest, man, like this whole thing about becoming a better version of yourself for the sake of Allah and just being dialed in. There's really something about it that genuinely excites me, and it's fun. Honestly, it genuinely gets fun. Why? Because when you are on this journey, it's like you have no idea just how far you can actually go. Is that a spider? Never mind, it's dust. You have no idea just how far you can go. You have no idea what height you can actually attain once you genuinely dial every single thing in, or as much as you possibly can, right? And I believe that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't think about. They have this really restricted type mindset, and they forget that your personal development is very similar to for guys who are into investing into halal stocks. You guys will understand this, but it's like investing in halal stocks, right? And I really want you to actually think about this analogy. I want you to actually think about a time where you came across a stock, right? And it was at a certain price point, and time goes on, whatever, and next thing you know, that stock just literally goes through the roof. 2x's, 3x's, right? Whatever the case may be. And as it reaches such a crazy height, you think to yourself, like, wow, that is some next level growth. And you might even think to yourself, this stock has probably reached its limit. And you're genuinely convinced that it's not gonna go higher. And it's funny because as time goes on, next thing you know, that same stock that you thought reached its limit, all of a sudden, 2x another time, 3x is another time, it might even 10x right in front of your face. And you're just, how do I say this? You're just amazed. You're shocked. And the question that I want you to ask yourself is, have you ever, and I'm sure you can relate with this, have you ever come across an individual in your life, whether that's through social media, whether that's you genuinely know him in person, and you've literally seen, in front of your eyes, this guy grow to crazy heights. And you're like, you know what? Like, this man genuinely reached his peak, his highest point. And just like the stock market, time goes on and that person just 10x's. You feel me? And you might think to yourself, like, what are the elements? What are the decisions? What's the trick? What's the secret? Or what are one of the habits that could increase your probability of also, attaining such results in your own life by Allah's permission? And that's exactly what this video is going to be about. And there's so many things that plays into a role, right? There's many things that I can talk about, habits, discipline, all those things, right? But one thing that I will say that hopefully is going to benefit you a lot, and I believe it's a huge way of achieving such results in your life. And before I say this, I know for a fact it's going to come off as very, very cliche, but sometimes you have to go back to the basics and master them. And that thing is, amongst many things, is that the knowledge that you have today while watching this, the knowledge that you've already learned, simply apply it. I strongly believe that a huge issue that a lot of people struggle with, including myself, is the fact that we don't have a knowledge problem. We don't have an information problem. We have an application problem, bro. Genuinely. Ask yourself, bro, if you were to apply for 24 hours all the knowledge that you have in your mind currently, what would that day look like? What would your life look like if you repeated that day every single solitary day, 7 days a week, 365 times a year? Crazy, right? It really makes you think that you don't have an information problem, bro. And even when it comes to learning. I preached, I preach about constantly learning in order to keep growing and everything. But, let's take reading, for example. I think it's a great habit a lot of people are getting into, they've been into reading books on a regular basis, but they're doing it with the wrong approach, or with an approach that it is not the most optimal. Me personally, when I read, right, I don't focus on how many pages I'm reading. A lot of people have this thing like, oh, my goal for the day is to read 10 pages a day, 20 pages a day, 5 pages a day, whatever the case may be. But I'm the type of person, I'd rather read one page and deep that for like 20 minutes. Of course, that's like a extreme example. But my point is, I'd rather read a page and genuinely just ask myself, how can I apply this page? How can I apply this notion? How can I apply this into my life right now? Maybe I'm not in the same position and exact situation as the reader, but that does not mean that I can't take from the book and try to apply it in my life. And I really want you to do this, brother. I'm assuming you already read on a regular basis. If you're not reading, please start reading ASAP. It's one of the most, it's one of the craziest ways to actually keep progressing and growing in your life. If you're not reading, read, right? But if you are reading, please read with the mindset of, how can I apply this into my life? And then I want you to combine that with consistently taking calculated risks in your life, consistently being uncomfortable in your life. When you combine that, bro, applying your knowledge, right, and consistently taking calculated risks and consistently taking uncomfortable situations, you apply that together, that's a crazy equation to get such results. 2x your life, 3x your life, 10x your life. And that doesn't have to be restricted to only one aspect of your life. When I say 10x in your life, I'm not restricting it to just your financial situations, right? It can be many other things. Maybe it can be your speaking skills. Maybe it can be your confidence skills. Maybe it can be your mindset. Maybe it can be your health, your physique, a lot of things. So please apply what you already know, right? And when you do read, ask yourself, how can you apply it? Take more risks, right? It's a crazy combination. Face more uncomfortable situations. For me, for example, it was posting online. That was a big step for me. Starting this YouTube channel, for me personally, it was a thing that it was new. You know what I mean? And you just add that up. You just continue, and you are genuinely going to reach the height that is written for you. At the end of the day, you can work all you want. You can be the hardest worker, but you are going to get what's written for you by Allah. With that being said, that's pretty much it for this entire video. If you listen to this entire thing with the intention of benefiting from it, I appreciate you. And as always, take care of yourself.